I'm judging the situation, okay? I'm judging a society in which we think that that's okay. Hey friends, it's me, Amy Rebecca, your internet bestie for all things personal development, intentional living and dream chasing. And as many of you know, I am a reformed overconsumer. So cast your mind back, if you will, and if you're old enough to do so, to 2010-ish. There was no such thing as an influencer. We were all still collectively using the Valencia filter and posting absolute nonsense to Instagram without a care for reach or the algorithm. YouTube was a sea of chaotic and completely unaesthetic videos where creators would share genuine tutorials and tips, and they'd say things like, now take whatever dark brown shade you have on whatever fluffy brush you have to hand. You weren't being constantly sold to online. If you saw a recommendation for something on YouTube, it came from a genuine and honest place because no one was getting any kickback from brands. And then it all got completely out of control. Once people realized that there was big money to be made through brand sponsorships and affiliate marketing, all of a sudden we're being sold a new product in every single video. And look, we have been sold to and marketed to since the dawn of capitalism, and maybe even a little bit before, who knows, but never on this scale. Never to this absolutely unhinged degree. And between the constant relentless pushing of products and the normalization of overconsumption, which I would argue in a lot of cases has creeped into hyperconsumption, that has led to many people, including myself in the past, having a very disjointed relationship with spending and consuming and owning things. We think this level of consumption is normal. Not just normal, aspirational. If you don't own 12 foundations, who even are you? And obviously this is not something that's just confined to the beauty industry. Extreme consumption of books, kitchenware, gadgets, gizmos, dare I say it, even dingle hoppers. And like I said, I was that person. I was an overconsumer of all things. I bought the lie that more stuff would make me happier or better or more fulfilled in some way. But luckily a few years back I had my come to Jesus moment and I realized that that was not the case, and actually extreme consumerism and buying more than you can use, more than you need, has the exact opposite effect. It just leads to more stress, it leads to obviously more financial hardship, it leads to a greater lack of fulfillment in general. It's just generally destructive in so many ways. And today I thought, you know what, let's get together and delve into some of the absolutely mind-bogglingly unhinged examples of hyperconsumption that I've been seeing on TikTok recently, and we can have a little bit of a chat about some of the implications that this is having and why this shouldn't be normal. This is not okay. First off, I want to make it abundantly clear that as we go through these clips I'm about to show you, I am not judging these people. This was me a few years ago, okay? I completely understand the disconnect that they are experiencing, and so I would never want to make assumptions about them as people or look down my nose at them. This is a systemic issue, and I think we're just using these videos of examples of why we all collectively need to take a step back and go touch some grass, as the kids would say. Oh cool, my phone's about to die. Hang on, we'll plug it in.
It's probably easier just to show you. So yeah, I'm sure there's a more organized way to do this.
This was me. I think at one point I probably had this many beauty products.
It is pretty messy at the moment. I've just received some new PR. Do check expiry dates. So most of these are unopened and that will last about 2-3 years, but this will definitely all be gone before then.
No, it won't. I can tell you from my personal lived experience as someone whose collection once looked quite similar to this, that is not going to last you 2 years. However long you think that your makeup stash is going to last you, double it and add 50%. I started my big makeup use up challenge in 2020. I looked at all of the cosmetics that I had and I said, I bet this will last me about 6 months. It is about to be the end of 2024 and I'm still not done using all of that up. So this is not gonna last her 2 years. And she hasn't even opened it. She says she hasn't even opened these. So this is probably, rough guess, just, I don't know exactly what products she has. This is maybe about 8 years worth of products. Minimum, I would say.
I have doubles and triples of things. I usually give them away to friends and family. And this is just a regular storage bed.
It's a pretty cool bed. Now, she mentioned in that video that a lot of that stuff is PR. So clearly that means that she is making some kind of beauty content as part of her job. Like, she is a beauty content creator, so obviously in order to make that content she's going to need to have products, and because of where we are with social media and the way that it has become inextricably linked with advertising, it means that she needs to have a constant revolving door of more and more products in order for her to stay relevant, in order for viewers to keep coming back for more, in order for her to make money. She has to have access to a ridiculous amount of products, because it's not like it was back in the old days where people were just making YouTube tutorials and putting them up maybe once a week. On TikTok, people are putting up anywhere like up to 8 videos a day. The way we have consumed content, much like the way we have consumed every freaking other thing, is just enormous. We want more, we want it instantly, we want more, and the only way that she can keep up with that and keep making money is to keep bringing in more and more product to showcase. And so I get it, like she to an extent she needs that product in order to make that content. I get that, that's extenuating circumstances, and she does say that she gives a lot of it away, which, you know, great. But the problem with showing this kind of thing and being like, hey, look how much stuff I have, everyone, is that it normalizes hyperconsumption for the average person. And look, okay, obviously not everyone who sees that is therefore going to go out and buy like a decade's worth of skincare products. But if you are someone who has a bit of a shopping problem, if you are someone who, you know, your makeup collection has started to get a little bit out of control, and you see something like this, it's suddenly going to make it feel like your 15 face creams pale into insignificance. Like, oh no, I'm good, I'm fine. In fact, maybe I could go out and buy 5 more this afternoon and I'd still be looking good compared to how much she's got. It's just the normalization of having that much stuff and putting it on display to show everyone. And again, I'm going to say this a lot throughout this video, but I've been guilty of that in the past, making like, look at my makeup collection YouTube videos back in the day. I did that. And it serves literally no one. Also, she is never going to get through all of that. She's going to throw most of that away or give it away. Next, the reality of owning this much makeup, extreme overconsumption. Yeah, I spent thousands of pounds, it's in the 5 figures. About 25% maximum gets used regularly. I would be willing to bet it is much less than that. I've decluttered hundreds of pounds of makeup because it expired before I ever used it. This amount of makeup can only be a shopping addiction problem. Nobody needs this much. Yeah. I've also decluttered thousands of pounds of makeup because I won't ever use it. I enjoy the variety, but 100% regret buying this much. Variety, girl! Boots don't have this much. So many of the products don't work for me. I just bought it based on the product being viral. I've been on a year-long makeup no-buy for 7 months, 5 months to go. I would suggest that she extends that makeup no-buy, would be my personal opinion based on my experience. I don't think 1 year is going to be enough to solve this problem, but I still feel tempted to buy new makeup with all the new products being released. Yeah. That's the thing about the constant marketing, the constant pushing of products, is that she is where I was a few years back. She's having her come to Jesus moment. She's looked around one day and gone, oh my good grief, how did I get here? And she recognizes that this is not right, that this is not serving her, but she still feels that draw to buy more, even though she knows that's going to take her further away from her goals, because she's constantly being sold to. And what she touched on in this video that I think is really important is that she said she spent thousands, tens of thousands of pounds on products that sit in a drawer collecting dust, that probably never get used, that based on what she has said in this video are probably on the daily causing her a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of feelings of shame and regret every time she looks at them, and then she will just ultimately throw them in the bin. Because with all the best intentions in the world, she will never use up all that stuff before it expires. She only has one face. And aside from that, she's even said herself that a lot of the stuff doesn't even work for her. She doesn't even like it. It doesn't even look good on her. She bought it because it was going viral. So either she's going to throw away a lot of it because it expired before she could use it, or she's going to throw it away because she doesn't even like it. Overconsumption like this is essentially like going to an ATM, withdrawing £10,000 and then setting fire to it in your garden. And you can't even say that you got enjoyment from it because she's not enjoying this experience. And she probably got that, you know, instant hit of gratification, that instant like spike in dopamine upon purchasing a product. But what you find is that the more you buy, the less you get a sense of satisfaction from what you've bought. And that's when you end up in this whole kind of dopamine chasing spiral. But the way that our brains work, the more you have of something, the less satisfying it becomes. And the more you crave that sense of satisfaction. And unfortunately, satisfaction is not something that you can go and buy from Sephora. Okay, next. That looks like me in my older days. So this is a great example of what I was talking about earlier. So remember in that first video, the girl was a content creator and she was being sent a lot of PR. This person is just a normal, average person. I did a little bit of digging. I did a little bit of sleuthing around. Call me Sherlock Holmes. But as far as I can tell, this person is not doing any kind of content creation or beauty tutorials for a living. So she is, number one, paying for all of this. None of it's being sent to her as PR, so that's money straight out of her bank account. And there's no reason for her to own that much. Like in the first instance, we can kind of say, oh yeah, that's kind of weird to want to keep all that, but I see why you have it. You have it to create content that you need to generate money, and that's kind of like a weird cycle that you're stuck in. But if you are just an average person who's not testing beauty products for a living, why do you need that much stuff? And it just, again, it's because the more we see these big, huge beauty hauls and look how big my makeup collection is, and come and look at my makeup room and how my drawers are full of lipsticks and mascaras, the more we see that, the more we normalize it, the more the average person is going to aspire to have that. And it leads to a place where we stop questioning, is this okay? Okay, let's sidestep for a moment and talk about a form of overconsumption that for me personally, I cannot fathom because it's not my area, okay? So from the outside looking in, I find it quite odd. It's the world of Stanley Cups. And the Stanley Cup craze is, I think, a perfect example of what a absolute dumpster fire of a trend factory TikTok has become. Now, before we get into it, I would like to point out that I do not personally own a Stanley Cup. However, I'm not opposed to spending £40 on a cup. And I am aware that that might sound like a completely wild take, but if a Stanley is good quality and it's gonna last you a lifetime and you're never gonna need to go out and repurchase another one, which for £40 I would hope and assume that that is the case, then I would rather invest in something good quality that I can hang on to rather than cycling through a bunch of knockoffs that I have to replace every few months. Because I have a Yeti, which I didn't even buy. It was a hand-me-down from my ex. He got the bigger size and so I inherited his old one, and that must be about 10, 11 years old and it's still going strong. Are Yetis expensive? Yes. I think they're worth the price. And if you can say the same of a Stanley, then girl, go out there and get your £40 cup. Like, I'm not gonna judge. So my problem is not with the price of the Stanley Cup. And my problem isn't with people wanting to own one. My problem is with the way that this has become such a hot commodity, such a trendy item, such a weird status symbol. Like, it's literally a cup and people are using it like it's like, look at me, I got a Stanley. But it has become such a hot trend that people are over-consuming cups. This is wild! So she said, remember, you're only allowed to take 2. And there's a little sign there that says 2 cups per person. Essentially, you're only allowed to buy 2. And look, there are going to be circumstances when you genuinely need to buy more than 1 cup. Say you got kids and they each want 1. But it goes to a really weird place really quickly, because when Stanley Cups started to take off and like go viral, they started bringing out limited edition cups, and whenever that happens with anything, then you've got a situation where something becomes collectible. We've got different colors, we've got different prints, we got limited edition, we got different sizes, we got different textures. People start collecting these things like they're Pokemon cards, and it's wild when you really sit down and think about it. Like when you sit and take a moment, it makes no sense, because the whole point of a reusable cup is that you reuse it. It cuts down on waste. It's more environmentally friendly just having 1 reusable cup. So then when you start to have multiple reusable cups, it kind of defeats the object. Does it not get to a point where the sheer quantity of reusable cups that you have makes them to an extent no longer reusable? Because realistically, if you have 15 plus cups, are you honestly using them all on a rotation? Or have you used some of them just once and put them in the cupboard? At which point all you have is a collection of $40 single-use cups. Do you see what I mean? Let me show you an example of something that blew my mind. Okay, I didn't even know there were that many Stanley Cups in existence. Also, when I first saw this, I thought it was a shop. It's not, it's just one woman and her Stanley Cups. So she said in the comments that she has over 100. So let's take it as 100. It looks like more than 100 is what I'd say, because she's got at least 2 rows per shelf, right? But let's take it as her word and say 100. And they're minimum $40 each. That's $4,000 worth of cups. And look, I am trying not to come across super judgmental. I saw a post on Instagram the other day that said I might just get Botox so that my face doesn't give away my feelings anymore, and that's how I feel right now. I actually might need to get Botox after filming this video because I'm making so many faces about it. But I want to reiterate that I'm not judging this woman, okay? I don't know her. She's probably a very lovely woman. She's probably great. I'm judging the situation, okay? I'm judging a society in which we think that that's okay. 100 cups, $4,000 worth of cups, minimum. And at the end of the day, look, we are all entitled to spend our money however we want. We are adults. I have made many stupid purchases, and I'm sure there are stupid purchases waiting for me in my future. I'm not a perfect person. That's why I have no right to judge anyone. That's why I'm not judging anyone. But this collection of Stanley Cups has come to a point, much like the makeup, where once you have that much of it, it's not usable anymore. It's not, you can't use that many cups. You can't. No one is that hydrated. And I get that people want to collect things. I get that it takes all kinds of people to make the world. What interests me doesn't interest other people. What I consider to be worth spending money on, you might think is a complete waste. But you see, it's not about one person's individual choices. It's more that as a collective, we've decided that this is all right. And I watched a really great video, I will link it down below, from Chelsea from the Financial Diet recently, where she kind of did this comparison between the kind of hoarders that we consider to be people we look down upon as being disgusting, as being kind of like outcasts from society, versus people like this with 100 Stanley Cups. That's another kind of hoarding, but for some reason we view that as aspirational or reasonable. Why is Margaret hoarding, you know, old cans of tuna less acceptable than Sandra and her Stanley Cups? That is really what I'm trying to get at here. But look, just when you thought the obsessive consumption of cups couldn't get any more niche, I guess, people started accessorizing their Stanley Cups. I just have to show you. I can't explain that. I just have to show you. She's putting mints and lip gloss. This is a brand new lip gloss. Gotta take the AirPods. Oh, 2 different drinks. She's got 2 drinks in there. Her cup has got a backpack. Her cup is wearing a backpack. Her cup is like Dora freaking the Explorer. I don't even know what that is. More lip gloss. We got it. Was that chopsticks? She's taking chopsticks with her? Okay, now we've got a variety of single-use plastic packaged products. Who is using this many products in a single day? Like out and about in life? Now it's got a second backpack. Her cup is wearing 2 bags. Okay, girl, just take a bag. And again, I'm not trying to hate, because there are things that I have bought that bring me so much joy in my life, that are so niche and are so quirky, and that other people would think, what a waste of money. I get it. But when things like this become trendy and the must-have, and let me show you all of the things that you can buy to accessorize your Stanley Cup, and people have got affiliate links where they're trying to sell you a backpack for your cup, I don't know, it all seems a little bit Twilight Zone to me, personally. And for the final area of hyperconsumption that we will be delving into today, we have everyone's favorite fast fashion. Big yikes. Now, I remember the very first time I heard the phrase fast fashion, I had just done a 2-part Shein haul on my YouTube channel, and one of my subscribers reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey girl, are you not concerned about the implications of fast fashion? And I thought I knew what that meant, but I was living in a little bubble and I didn't really understand what fast fashion was. I just thought fast fashion was a reference to your own personal rate of clothing turnover, you know, like buying something, wearing it a couple of times and then throwing it into the landfill to rot. And I was like, oh no, couldn't be me. Like, I keep my clothes for like 6 years. I wear them a lot. And then a few months later, I was flying home for Christmas and I watched a documentary about fast fashion when I was on the plane. And a few weeks later, when January hit, I started my first no buy year, because that's how much I was shocked by what I had seen. Because once you understand the implications of fast fashion on the planet, on other people, on habitats, it's like, how can you not care about that? And again, I have not sat here as a perfect person. I have bought fast fashion. I still sometimes do buy fast fashion. What I have been able to do is reduce my consumption of all clothing by like about 80 to 90% a year. And then I make sure that I look for secondhand clothing first before I go to fast fashion. And then when I do buy fast fashion, because let's be honest, it is the most accessible option for most of us, it is the most affordable option out there, I am really careful about the brands that I shop from, and there are certain brands that I refuse to buy from. Here's looking at you, Shein. And look, people will say, oh, I have to shop at Shein because it's so cheap, I can't afford to shop anywhere else. And I totally understand that times are tight, and there are going to be people this winter who have to buy a coat from Shein because it is the only way they're going to be able to afford something warm to wear. I get that, and that is valid. But that's not what most people mean when they say they can only afford to shop at Shein. What they mean is Shein is the only place where I can afford to buy in the enormous quantities that I want to buy in. Because most people are not just buying 1 or 2 essentials from Shein.
I'm gonna go through this whole box and organize it into sections of what it is. Okay, part 1, I guess, is gonna be all of the...
So no, we can't talk about the affordability of Shein and how it's the only option if this is the quantity quantity of stuff that you're ordering. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so according to Business Insider, the average Shein consumer is female, earns $65,300 in an annual income, and reported spending $100 per month on women's clothing. So it's fair to say that the average Shein user is not using Shein for the affordability. They're using Shein because they want to hyper consume, and Shein is the only place where they can afford to buy the sheer quantity of clothes that they want to buy. And it's our warped idea of how much we should be consuming that allows companies like Shein to prosper. Because if we weren't conditioned to believe that it is normal and acceptable to be buying such insane quantities of clothing, then people would be taking that money and investing more in quality items rather than quantity, and therefore companies like Shein wouldn't be able to exist.
I have a huge Shein haul, so let's get into it. This parcel has got autumn winter bits in it, I believe. I cannot remember a single thing that I ordered. You know me.
If you cannot remember a single thing that you've ordered, that leads me to believe that probably everything that you ordered was random stuff you didn't need.
This is a little puffer. It does need a steam or just to like sit outside to kind of rid of the creases. But imagine Christmas shopping, Christmas markets. The house is freezing cold right now, so I don't want to take this off. But I think we have another coat, so I've grabbed a simple puffer. And this is...
Okay, so 2 puffer coats in one order. One might suggest that one black puffer coat is enough. One might suggest. One might.
Like medium to full thickness, I would say. I currently own 2 black puffer coats and none of them have a hood.
Wait, does she mean she owns 2 black puffer coats and now she's bought 2 more black puffer coats? This lady owns 4 black puffer coats. Look, I'm an autumn girly, okay? I love a coat. I do. I'm drawn to them. I walk into the shop, I'm like, let me see all the coats, let me try them on. I love them. I have more coats than I need. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm not up on some soapbox shouting down at everyone else as if I have all the answers or I am a perfect example of a human being. I'm not. But 4 black puffer coats? That's 4 of the same thing. One has a hood, one doesn't have a hood. One has fur, one doesn't have fur. Is it excessive? I think, yes. I think that's objectively obsessive. So again, I want to make it abundantly clear that I'm not against people buying things. I buy things, we all buy things, and we all deserve to spend our money in a way that brings us joy. But my intention with this video is to draw attention to the fact that I think we've gone too far. There's consumption, then there's overconsumption, and now we've reached a whole new level, which I would say is hyperconsumption. And it's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable for our wallets. It's not sustainable for the planet. It's not sustainable for our mental health, because like I said earlier, as much as it may feel like buying things will bring you joy and make you happy, studies have proven that the opposite is true, and I'm going to link an excellent book down in the description box that kind of explains how dopamine works and how the more you try and chase the things you think will bring you that spike of dopamine, the less satisfied you will ultimately feel. It's really interesting. I would recommend it if you like the brain and like science. And again, one last time for the people at the back, I want to make it abundantly clear that I am not judging these individual people. I'm judging the system. I am judging society as a whole. I am judging late stage capitalism. I am judging the billionaires that are stuffing all this absolute garbage down our throats and making money off of us without a care for anyone or anything that it affects. And I'm sorry, but I am judging them. I'm judging the billionaires, but the average person I'm not judging. And on that happy note, please remember that you are enough just as you are. I love you so much, and I will see you guys soon. Oh, and let me know, did you like this kind of video? A little bit different from me. Let me know if you want to see more like this. Anyway, love you. Bye.